Hey co-stars, welcome to another episode of Generation Films. My name is British Ben, and today we will be looking at my 10 scariest enemies in science fiction. Drawing from TV shows and movies from the 80s, 90s, and after the year 2000. We'll be looking at things that made me piss my pants. Oh, editor, that wasn't supposed to be in the script. Just cut that bit out, okay? All right, let's go. Number 1, the Sarlac from Star Wars. Now, the Sarlac pit is featured at the beginning of Return of the Jedi, and this is a pit where there lives a creature called the Sarlac that Jabba the Hutt throws his enemies into.
In his belly you will find a new definition of pain and suffering, as you are slowly digested over 1,000 years.
Now, I remember seeing the original version where they didn't add in this ridiculous CGI beak, and it was way more scary. But even with the beak, the idea of getting digested over 1,000 years in agony really gave me the creeps. Now, if you want to see what the Sarlac actually looked like, here's a picture of how big its body was below ground, and it's just its mouth that is exposed for any unlucky life form who may fall in. These creatures could live for between 20 and 50,000 years, and its body was up to 100 meters long under the ground. So if you're anywhere sandy...
I don't like sand.
That's right, if you're somewhere sandy and you see something that looks like this, stay away. On to the next one. Number 2, the T-1000 from Terminator. Now, the original T-800 in Terminator is scary, but in a sort of lovable, caring kind of way, and even more so when he comes back reprogrammed as a good guy in Terminator 2. But the T-1000 is just creepy and mean, and he's even mean to kids. Now, the really scary thing about the T-1000 is that he's made of liquid metal, so even if his body is blown out of shape by a 12-gauge shotgun, he just keeps coming at you. This metal is called mimetic polyalloy, and it means that the T-1000 can mimic the shape of any object it wants to. And this all meant the T-1000 was very hard to get away from. It just kept on coming. And actually, the Terminator movies have made people so wary of humanoid-style machines that when Tesla released the Tesla bot recently, Elon Musk had to make a special point that it was friendly. You could run away from the T-1000 too, but it probably wouldn't do you much good. It went way faster than 5 miles per hour. You'd probably end up having to hide in your home for weeks. So if you are in that situation where you're hiding from a Terminator, or you're just in your home because of a pandemic or any other doomsday scenario, I always recommend keeping a supply of food in your house. And that's why I recommend My Patriot Supply. You can save $50 off a 4-week supply of food by visiting the website generationsurvive.com or clicking the link below. You'll thank me when Skynet is activated and you can't leave your home for fear of getting destroyed by a robot army. Number 3, the Borg from Star Trek. Now, this was probably the only really scary enemy in the Star Trek universe, a universe where most of their enemies moved in slow motion. Well, I guess the Borg are actually kind of a slow motion enemy too.
Warning.
But they were still really scary because they could do this. And then you would become one of them and your captain would end up having to shoot you.
Please, help.
But that was probably better than spending your life as a slave to a sexually awkward queen who had a thing for androids.
Are you familiar with physical forms of pleasure?
Maybe she'd get on with a T-1000. All right, let's move on. Number 4, the Replicators from Stargate. The Replicators were a technological species that, as the name suggests, could replicate themselves to an unlimited degree. They would chase down humans and infest their ships. That sound really fills you with terror. Play that again. Now, these beings were made of tiny metal blocks and could combine into literally any object, like these spiders, terrifying skeletons, or even a whole ship. Now, for a human to be captured by the Replicators was a terrifying experience because you would end up encased in replicator blocks with no way out, and you would awake to the sound of scurrying replicator feet. Ooh. Give me a P90. All right, let's go on to the next one. Number 5, the Sith from Star Wars. Now, the Sith are not good guys. They deal in absolutes and they are terrible to their children. And they are also obsessed with power. In their dark religion, embracing negative emotions gave them strength and power in the dark side of the Force. And that should be the warning right there. The fact that they call it the dark side of the Force and they introduce it like this.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
I mean, it's like, hey, do you want to learn this dark, unnatural thing? Yeah, sure, where do I sign up? But we all know the reason that Anakin succumbed to the dark side was his emotions. His fear of losing his wife was amplified and used to manipulate him by Palpatine, and he became a monster. But the real scary thing about the Sith is they're not just a danger to themselves and to innocent people, but to each other.
He taught his apprentice everything he knew. Then his apprentice killed him in his sleep.
That was Palpatine talking about killing his own master, and here he is ordering the death of his own student.
Kill him. Kill him now.
And then this is Palpatine being killed by his own student. So the Sith really were just a constant bloodbath, and they all end up looking disgusting and deformed. So yeah, whether you're on the sharp end of their lightsaber or you're trying to become a Sith yourself, they're a pretty terrifying group of people indeed. Number 6, the Wraith from Stargate. Now, even though the Rolls-Royce Wraith is an absolutely beautiful car, the word Wraith actually means ghost, which is strange because Rolls-Royce has another car that's called Ghost. It's kind of like doubling up on the name. But anyway, the Wraith are the species out in the Pegasus galaxy that suck the life force out of humans in order to feed. More life force gives them more vitality, and they can recover from injuries quickly and become impossible to kill. If they'd fed recently, they become so powerful that they could even withstand grenades. And in some cases, the only way to kill one would be to launch missiles at it from space and completely destroy its body. The Wraith moved around in massive hive ships and viewed worlds of innocent people as their feeding grounds. For this reason, they only used stun weapons so that they could take their prey alive. But when you know what they want to do to people, I think you'd rather die. Alright, let's move on. Number 7, the Bioraptors from Pitch Black. These were the enemy from the classic sci-fi movie Pitch Black from the year 2000. They were kind of flying raptors that only came out of their caves when it got dark. This enemy was scary because they attacked in swarms, and if you were in their path, there really was nothing you could do but wait to have your body munched into pieces as they flew through you, taking bites. So nighttime on that particular planet was a bit of a problem, and if you were stranded there, you would have to attach as many light sources as possible to your body so that you could fend off these creatures that were sensitive to light. And of course, it really helps if you can see in the dark. But they could actually be killed if you're Vin Diesel. Alright, let's move on. Number 8, Xenomorphs from Alien. Now these things start as an egg that then hatches, releasing an arachnid type creature known as a facehugger, which, well, you know. This creature notably has an acid blood that can eat through metal, so it's hazardous to remove, but it does drop off by itself in the end. The creature hugs victims' faces because it is releasing a worm into their body, which then incubates inside them and then blasts out of their chest like this. Once the xenomorph is fully grown, it ends up as a terrifying creature. And it is incredibly hard to kill. In the end, Ripley has to resort to blowing it out into space and then firing a rocket booster in its face, and it is finally gone. Not dead, just gone, floating in space. Number 9, Predators from Predator. Now the Predator is the enemy in the 1987 Arnold Schwarzenegger movie by the same name, and this thing is ugly. It's actually a genetically advanced alien hunter that uses cloaking technology to hunt people, although its cloak isn't actually that good. I mean, you can still see it if you look closely. In the original movie, they don't actually succeed in killing the Predator. When it's wounded, it sets off a self-destruct and blows itself up. But they are pretty effective fighting machines, especially when using their cloaking technology. Here is one taking out an entire Jamaican voodoo posse, whatever that is, in Predator 2. Now let's look at our final scary sci-fi enemy, and this one is really frightening because it can take out humanity on a global scale. Alright, number 10, the Harvester aliens from Independence Day. Although the name isn't really mentioned that much in the first movie, the aliens from Independence Day are called Harvesters. They fly their ships to unsuspecting planets and exterminate the entire population and then harvest all the resources available to power their ships and perfect their technology before moving on. These aliens wore biomechanical suits and were hard to kill, unless you're Will Smith.
Welcome to Earth.
And guys, that's our video for today. Now, if Harvester aliens really do invade Earth, you may not be able to go out to get to the grocery store, and that's why I always recommend keeping some emergency food in your basement. So don't forget, we have that deal to get $50 off a 4-week supply of food, or just pick up a few items, whatever you like, from My Patriot Supply. Click my link below. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.